The pandemic has opened our eyes to many things, especially about preparing for unforeseen circumstances that can alter our very reality. Amongst these many things is what an effective home first aid kit looks like, a phenomenon, if you will, that in some cases has been the differentiating factor between life and death when it came to the virus. Pharmacologist and consultant cardiologist Dr. Kiran Bhagat this evening discusses the contents of today's home first aid kit that would render it useful during this time of the pandemic.
First of all, let's talk about the home. I think what we've understood about COVID is that it is primarily driven by poor ventilation. So the most important thing we've learned about the toolkit is to make sure that your house is well ventilated. It's difficult in the middle of winter, but where you can, you need to get a draft. You need to make sure that there's air circulating, because the greater the concentration of the virus, the more of the virus you breathe in. So if you have windows that are open, you have large circulation, or you try and spend as much of your time outdoors, there's much less chance of you getting a very concentrated viral load, number one. Number two, we've learned that if you are somebody that's ill and at home, make sure you try and isolate so that the rest of the people in the house are not exposed. Difficult because we don't live in Hollywood, where people are living with large numbers of a family in a house. But try and make sure where possible that the person who is ill is secluded, is isolated, so that there's no sign of transmission. The third is, even within a house, if you are ill, wear a mask. It's important to make sure, particularly if you have elderly in the house who have not been infected, it's important to make sure you have adequate masking within the house. And then in terms of the first aid toolkit, it's important if you do get a tickle in the throat, or you do feel, everybody knows now what signs of COVID are. It's congestion, it's fever, it's a sore throat with the Omicron, it's a runny nose. It's to try and disinfect the upper airways. And the best way to do that is, we know in medicine we call it hypertonic saline, which basically means very concentrated salt solution. So you can get a little bit of salt and you can actually sniff it up your nose to disinfect your nose. We call it, you can get a bottle and squeeze it into your nose, just like a nasal spray. You can gargle with concentrated salt to the back of the throat. You can get a little bit of iodine, put some iodine drops into water and gargle with the back of your throat. We know that this thoroughly disinfects and actually kills the COVID viruses. Studies have been done in India and in Bangladesh and in Thailand, where they squirt a little bit of iodine, diluted iodine in water up the nose, and actually disinfects them completely. Iodine you can get, is very cheap and very effective from any pharmacy without a prescription. The first aid kit is also preventive for those that are listening out there, and the prevention is trying to make sure that you're bolstering your immune system. Now, the biggest depression of an immune system is sugar. Trying to make sure that the sugar content of your food is down. Making sure that you're taking immune boosting foods that are what are called in the vegetable kingdom cruciferous vegetables. Your broccoli, your cauliflower, your cabbage, your asparagus, things that look like a flower. We know they contain very powerful immune boosting agents. We know that turmeric, ginger, garlic are powerful anti-inflammatory agents. So these are things that we can do in the kitchen in terms of your first aid toolkit. Vitamin C, vitamin D we've talked about. These are things you can find in nuts and seeds and your fruits and veggies. You cannot find it in a packet of fresh chips or paletti or bread. They don't exist. Those are empty calories.
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?